this track so very unique, and why do you like it?
Yeah, I would say this is probably one of the last European circuits still old school. So the walls are very close, the guardrails are close, the gravel band is always around the circuit. So big corners, really fast corners. So I think if you go around the paddock and ask all the drivers, this is the favorite track for most of us.
Very cool. And the weather is good. I haven't seen that in a while, so that's going to be exciting. And yeah, and one guy who also likes this track a lot is Matthias Ekström, and he's taking us on a lap. Let's check it out.
The start and finish straight, coming up to turn 1. Very hard and late braking into the second gear corner that is banked, and it's very important to keep the car tight in the middle. Up the gears to fourth and a quick short right-hander in third. Very special hairpin left, very long and very important to get a good exit, because now it's going to be flat out for a long time. First a crest right, then a flat left, and now the most spectacular place of the year. A crest and then the fastest corner of the season. Fourth or fifth gear depending on how good you get it in qualifying on the race. Sector 1 line there. Entering another quick right-hander, going up to the first place where overtaking is pretty good. Middle sector again, we come to the my favorite left-hander where you can do good overtakings. Again, important exits in all those corners because the straights are pretty long. Sector line for sector 2 ends here. Again, hard braking for the chicane right. And then again, a very slippy left-hander, very often with a lot of sand. Coming up to the last corner, it will be third gear. Important is to get a good exit, so we carry the speed through the last corner because the corner is flat. So if this is now the ideal lap, we will soon see.
Interesting how he said flat. Absolutely brilliant onboard lap from Matthias Ekström. And welcome to the sand dunes of Zandvoort. Here we go then. This is the result from free practice. And, well, we know not to read too much into free practice. Of course, this is qualifying. This is what's going to be important. But look at that. Down P13 in free practice. Our new champion, Marco Wittmann, in the BMW. I think it will be very, very different when it comes to qualifying, that's for sure. But those, the results from free practice as we get this brilliant shot of this Zandvoort circuit here, some 4.3 kilometers. There's Bruno Spengler in the final stages of preparation. On goes the balaclava, always very focused, just ahead of the qualifying session. And that, the champion's car, Marco Wittmann. And there you can see the focus in the eyes of Robert Wickens as we have a green light and the first part of qualifying about to get underway here at Zandvoort. Cars streaming out onto the circuit. It's a lovely day here, right on the coast of the North Sea. Good temperatures. And conditions, I would think, absolutely perfect for these guys to be out for qualifying. P2 in the points for Christian Vittoris. At the moment, 59 points for Christian Vittoris. And see him making his way around the Tarzan turn now here at the Zandvoort circuit for his qualifying. So on track already we have Tomczyk Molina, Maxime Martin, Antonio Felix da Costa, Timo Glock. Matthias Ekström, Augusto Farfus, that man Christian Vittoris, also Marco Wittmann, one of the early ones out. So too Adrian Tombe just joining the track as well. But we're watching Christian Vittoris at the moment. Now, he has 3 points advantage over P3 in the points, which is Matthias Ekström. No point talking about P1 in the points because Marco Wittmann is right up there on 128 points, and that enough of a margin over the Christian Vittoris 59 points to give him the championship last time out, of course, at the Lausitzring, where the weather conditions played into the hands of these Mercedes-Benz cars. An altogether different prospect for them here at Zandvoort this weekend. There's Augusto Farfus just going through in the Castrol Edge BMW. And there's Vitoris just weaving a little bit to try and get some heat into those tyres. This is Tomczyk then as he crosses the timing line now. He's going to give us the first benchmark time for us. You can see us running the clock there on Martin Tomczyk. So let's see how he does in that BMW. Martin Tomczyk, who's not really had the season that he would like, his best finish, a P4, which came in Spielberg. So Tomczyk will hope to be getting his season, well, he'd like to finish with a flourish if he possibly could. So we follow the BMW around this circuit here at Zandvoort as the sparks fly. The undulating surface here as he tears up the tarmac. 40.675 in the first sector. Of course, it's a purple colour because he's the first one to set a time. I can tell you that Molina has just done a 40.477 and Maxime Martin a 40.415 in actual fact in those first sectors. So Tomczyk already perhaps down on those that are following him at the moment. 40.675, then 23.826 in the second sector. Into the third and final sector now, and this will give us the first benchmark lap time from which to work. Up towards the timing line he goes then. And crosses it to give us a 1:31.833 from Martin Tomczyk, a 1:31.833. Here comes Matthias Ekström then, 40.1 first sector, 23.5 in the second sector. Glock is the fastest at the moment with a 1:31.358, but now it's Matthias Ekström who takes a full 3/10 out of that and goes with a 1:31.074. Here comes our champion, Marco Wittmann. Will he go straight to the top in the BMW? Indeed he does, a 1:31.055. Jamie Green then did well in free practice earlier. P4 in free practice for Jamie Green. Purple sector 1 and purple sector 2. This could be a blistering time from Jamie Green in the early stages of Q1 here at Zandvoort. Just under 9 minutes left on the clock in this Q1. And Jamie Green posts a 1:30.610. So Jamie Green goes to the top of the timing screen. Just gets the back end, steps out a little bit there. But Jamie Green now over Marco Wittmann, P2, then it's Ekström is P3. We're on board with Augusto Farfus. So the Castrol Edge BMW, we ride on board. What a fantastic shot that we're able to bring you here around this Zandvoort circuit as Augusto Farfus around the final turn and heads towards the timing line. And he sets a time of 1:31.668 for Augusto Farfus. That gives him P15. Although he has just been pushed down one place by Gary Paffett. Good showing from Paul de Resta here, who with a 1:38.49 goes P2. So it's Green, de Resta, Wittmann, Wehrlein, of course, Wehrlein taking his win, his maiden win in his DTM career. Last time out at the Lassitz Ring. Following Jamie Green now. He's our current top of the timing chart with a 1:36.10. BMW bank car of Bruno Spengler, we can see there. 40.274 in the first sector of this 4.3 kilometer circuit. It's Green, de Resta, Wittmann, Wehrlein, Ekström. The top five at the moment. 6.5 minutes left to run in this first part of qualifying, where we lose 5 drivers. You can see on the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen those that are out currently. Antonio Felix da Costa, Martin Tomczyk, Bruno Spengler, Daniel Juncadella and Vitaly Petrov. But a lot can happen as we still have 6 minutes left to run, and Jamie Green now goes back to the top of the timing screen with a 1:36.10. 1:36.10, fastest time thus far, and that came from the all-orange car of Jamie Green. Nico Müller into the pit lane as we follow that car through the pit lane. Just ahead of him is the all-black machine of Adrien Tambay. Tambay at the moment P14, Nico Müller at the moment P12. New rubber onto the Nico Müller car. They're queuing up now. Timo Scheider in there as well. You can just see the auto tester livery on the side of his car. Gary Paffett in the Mercedes we can see in the pit lane as well. He's currently P8, so some new rubber going onto the Euronics liveried Gary Paffett car. This is Martin Tomczyk then, currently P21. Personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Is that going to be enough to elevate him further up the order than his current P21 and put him to a bit of safety so that he'll go through to Q2? Runs a bit wide, takes a bit of curb. Just under 5 minutes left to run. Qualifying goes so very quickly in DTM. And Tomczyk does go up now to P12 with a 1:31.404. 1:31.404. A sideways moment for Timo Glock as he kicks up some dust. See that in replay, and also in replay, here's Augusto Farfus getting out onto the rumble strips. Sparks fly from the champion's car of Marco Wittmann. Awesome shot that is. And sparks flying off the bottom of the BMW of Timo Glock. And that is Bruno Spengler doing exactly the same. Adrien Tambay with a sideways moment, manages to hold it all together with deft use of opposite lock. As inside the Mercedes garage, the tension you can sense also with BMW. Again, Glock all over the curbs, provoking the almost fireworks show from the bottom of his car. So it's Green from De Resta, from Wittmann, from Wehrlein, from Ekstrom. The top five, those in danger. Augusto Farfus, Robert Wickens, Antonio Felix da Costa, Daniel Juncadella and Vitaly Petrov. Great shot from on board the Ekstrom car at the moment. With 3 and a bit minutes remaining in this part one of qualifying. And this onboard shot, you can really feel the rumbles and the undulations in the Zandvoort surface as we can now see the livery from a completely different angle. Sand dunes that surround this Zandvoort Park circuit. Here is Christian Vittoris, P14 at the moment. Doesn't improve. So he is 1:31.421, which gave him P14, keeps him there at the moment. No improvement from Christian Vittoris. Time is beginning to run out now. Just over 2 minutes left to run. Edo Mortara runs out wide. Sector 1 and Sector 2 for Eduardo Mortara. Nothing too sparkling, I'm afraid to say. So 1:31.716 certainly doesn't improve the time that gave him P6 at the moment, which is 1:31.075. This is Maxime Martin, our victor, of course, in Russia from earlier on in the season. stays P11 with no improvement. So under the cut-off line for the 5 that may disappear from this part of qualifying. At the moment, it's Augusto Farfus, Robert Wickens, Antonio Felix da Costa, Daniel Juncadella, and Vitaly Petrov. But we're with Antonio Felix da Costa now, who's done a personal best in Sector 1 and followed that up with a personal best in Sector 2 also. So what can Antonio Felix da Costa deliver for us here? His best result in DTM so far this year, a P8, which came at the Budapest circuit. And, well, he improves 2 places to go up to P19, but P19 is still the wrong side of the cut-off line in Q1. He's got the chance to put 1 more lap in. He passes the slow-moving Adrien Tombe car. So Antonio Felix da Costa, here is Robert Wickens then, currently P21. He's got this lap and only this lap to improve, and Sector 1 didn't look absolutely brilliant. Jamie Green's time of 1:36.10 keeps him right at the top. But personal best for Robert Wickens now in Sector 2. He's got Bruno Spengler up ahead of him. So Wickens doing everything he can and extracting all he can from the Freeman's liveried Mercedes as he heads towards the timing line. The checkered flag is out. It's a 1:31.675 from Robert Wickens. Here's Daniel Juncadella then. P22 and doesn't improve, so Danny Juncadella. Augusto Farfus now in the Castrol Edge BMW. P20. Can Augusto Farfus improve? Absolutely going to bin the lap anyway. So Antonio Felix da Costa gone. Augusto Farfus gone. Robert Wickens gone. And well, this shot here as the cars make their way back into the pit lane. There's Vitaly Petrov. Out. Finishes P23 with his 1:33.002. So the Russian driver in DTM, Vitaly Petrov. Qualifying session not going his way. Mike Rockenfeller, champion last year. Well, the championship has gone now, of course, going the way of Marco Wittmann. Here's the qualifying result then from session 1. Jamie Green at the top of the chart with a 1:36.10. Then we saw Paul de Resta, good quali from Paul de Resta. And then it was Rocky, Martin Tomczyk, Wittmann, Wehrlein, Ekstrom. And it was Mortara, Paffik, Glock, Spengler, Molina. Before Maxime Martin, Nico Muller, Christian Vitoris, Adrien Tombe, Joey Hand, and Timo Scheider. So those out: Antonio Felix da Costa, Augusto Farfus, Robert Wickens, Daniel Juncadella, and Vitaly Petrov. So Antonio Felix da Costa, one of those that goes. Huge plume of smoke out of the back of that car. And they're confirmation of those that are out then. Antonio Felix da Costa that we just saw on screen, Augusto Farfus, Robert Wickens, Daniel Juncadella, and Vitaly Petrov. So some slow-mos of those that we lose. Vitaly Petrov then out. B12 last time around for Vitaly Petrov was his best showing. And also going out is Daniel Juncadella in his Mercedes AMG C Coupe. I'm afraid it's going to be from the same mark, the next car that we see, because it's this one of Robert Wickens. He is 1:31.673, not enough to take him through to Q2. See the disappointment there beneath the crash helmet. Also going out, Augusto Farfus in the Castrol Edge BMW M4. He's 1:31.668. Not enough. And a disappointed Augusto Farfus. And by just under a tenth, Antonio Felix da Costa missed the cut, and he's 1:31.611. Not enough to take him through to Q2 either. Audi have a great time of it here, generally at Zandvoort, and with Jamie Green right at the top, a 1:36.10 from Q1. Paul di Resta, Mercedes then, 1:38.49, splits a pair of Audis because Mike Rockenfeller was P3. Then we saw better qualifying from Martin Tomczyk, P4. Marco Wittmann, the champion, P5. Pascal Wehrlein, of course, victorious at Lausitzring, takes P6 as some spent parts make their way back down the pit lane. There is Daniel Juncadella. Discussing the performance of qualifying with his engineer there, making his way up the pit lane. And there we see Vitaly Petrov, another one of the Mercedes drivers, perhaps disappointed. And with Verena is Vitaly Petrov right now. Let's cross down to the pit lane.
Yes, with a very disappointing 23rd or P23. This morning you had a crash. You couldn't practice that much. What happened?
I just lost the car and just going too quick in turn 2 and lost the rear. Yeah, it's not easy to set up the car on this track, and yeah, the track is really difficult to drive. So you can see, without any practice, to qualify somewhere, closer to the guys, it was quite difficult. But anyway, yeah, it's the first year in my DTM. I'm still learning, and at least we have a good car. Last race it showed us we can fight with the guys in front. So I'm not worried too much. Tomorrow it's another day, and we try to do a good result.
So you don't know this track from other series?
No, I never been here before.
Right.
Fortunately. Yeah.
Well, best of luck tomorrow for the race. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm going to try to grab someone else. But for now, for the moment, back to you guys. By the way, I just heard that Robert Wickens is not giving interviews because he has a swollen face. That's a quote. I'm not quite sure what is up with that, but I just thought I'd pass down the info. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. That's interesting. Okay, well, very humble Vitaly Petrov, who, of course, has never raced at this circuit before, and he says he made a huge error in turn 2, which compromised his lap, and therefore wasn't able to deliver any more than he did. Very confident in the car, though, and as he says, different day tomorrow. So mustn't forget that this is the maiden DTM season for Vitaly Petrov, who has come into the season with, I think it's fair to say, up until... Well, before we talk about Vitaly Petrov, let's talk about another Mercedes driver. He's with Verena now, and that's Danny Juncadella.
Certainly is, yeah. Disappointing qualifying for you, P22. How difficult is this track? What were you struggling with?
I don't really know. It's one of my favorite tracks, so that's why I'm mainly disappointed, because in Formula 3 every year I was winning here, and in DTM every year I'm starting in the last row. So I mean, still need to see what's wrong, but struggling a lot everywhere.
Thank you very much, and back to you guys.
Well, from a man with no experience of the Zandvoort circuit too, as Danny Juncadella has said there, he has lots of experience of this circuit. In Formula 3 was a winner here. Certainly not the case today, going out in the first part of qualifying. Augusto Farfus is with Verena now.
Augusto, we were just talking this morning about you loving this track, and now qualifying P20 is very, very disappointing. Why do you think didn't it work out better?
I have no clue. It's extremely disappointing. I mean, last year I've been the fastest guy here, won the race, and this year simply I'm the last one. So for me, it's very difficult to understand, very disappointing, but nevertheless, this is racing, you have to keep focus.
All right, thank you so much, Augusto, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. Undoubtedly disappointed, Augusto Farfus. Just before we crossed to Verena, you may have seen flashed across the screen there that Matthias Ekström under investigation. We'll try and find out more about that in due course, whether that was for blocking or something out on track. Well, we will find out in due course. We can only... It's only conjecture at the moment. Nico Müller then we're following right now. Vitaly Petrov I was talking about in his maiden DTM season. He's coming to the maiden DTM season with a car which at the first part of the season was certainly not competitive. And Nico Müller, of course, quickest in free practice this morning. And his quickest time in FP2 was a 1:31.607. This man, Nico Müller, then. Confirmed really during FP2 Audi's domination here at Zandvoort, because the top 4 places were locked out with Audis, but whilst it was Jamie Green at the top in Q1, it was Paul de Resta was P2 in Q1, so going to be interesting to see how Paul de Resta does in Q2. We are into Q2 now with 8 and a bit minutes, and we're following the all-white Audi of Nico Müller, the man that was fastest in FP2, done a 40.0 in Sector 1, a 23.5 in Sector 2. Oh, gets to the back end, stepping out just a little bit there. Trying to get the max, and once again, just the back end stepping out and just dipping into the gravel there. This will have compromised his final sector for sure, but he gives us a benchmark of 1:31.056. Now here in replay, this is where he dipped one side and then did the same again on the next turn, just dipping the rear end out onto the gravel. Mike Rockenfeller now goes to the top with a 1:39.26. Marco Wittmann has put in a 1:39.55. This man, we're told, is under investigation. Matthias Ekström, what can he deliver now? Well, he can deliver a 1:38.15, which is 9/100ths quicker, so Eki goes to the top. Jamie Green now posts a 1:38.24, which puts him P2. We're with the victor from Lausitzring, Pascal Wehrlein. I was talking to him in Singapore just a few days ago. He's having a great time of it. Of course, being announced as reserve driver for Mercedes F1 as well. He goes P3. Pascal Wehrlein in the Guix Mercedes. This is Joey Hand in the BMW. Around the final turn, Arrow Luendijk here at Zandvoort. And Joey Hand posts a P12. Now, we only take 8 drivers from this through to the next round of, or the next part of qualifying, so it is all to play for in the next 6 and a bit minutes here at Zandvoort. We're staying with Joey Hand. Now, here's the man that split the Audi pairing at the top of Q1. It's Paul de Resta. Was P2 in Q1. Here's Christian Vittoris, who is second in the points at the moment. Some 3 points ahead of Matthias Ekström. So Vittoris then with a 40.1 and a 23.8 across Sector 1 and then Sector 2 is currently P17. He'll be hoping to improve on that when he crosses the timing line following the Arie Luendijk turn here and heads towards that timing line right now. Christian Vittoris in the Mercedes. And, well, only improves a couple of places. P15, that certainly wouldn't be enough to take him through to the next part of qualifying. Martin Tomczyk got it all together towards the end of Q1. Saw him safely through into Q2. He's done a 40.05, a 23.65 in the first 2 sectors. And, well, third sector of 27.5. Add that lot together, 1:31.244, which is not enough for Martin Tomczyk. That only gives him P14 with under 5 minutes remaining. So, Timo Glock and the focus as Timo Glock just glances down at the information screen then, as you can see, watch his eyes. Heavy braking, you can see the head move forward. standing by with new rubber there for both BMW and also Audi. As we saw, in comes Maxime Martin, in comes Gary Paffett. That's Nico Müller on his way out. This is our champion, Marco Wittmann, who at the moment is P6 with a 1:39.55. Here's Maxime Martin then. Just 4 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. The outgoing champion is Mike Rockenfeller in the Schaeffler Audi. On his way out, look at the queue in the BMW pits. Then we saw Joey Hand and also Bruno Spengler. A 1:38.15 for Matthias Ekstrom. Sees him right at the top with Jamie Green. And there is Jamie Green. He currently P2, a 1:38.24. There's the Joey Hand car. It's been parked there for a little while now. Right, the crew go to work right now. The new Hankook rubber goes on. Gary Paffett, the Ronix liveried Mercedes-Benz. Gary Paffett down there at the moment, P18. We'll hope that the addition of new rubber will mean that he can extract a lap time vastly superior to that 1:31.814, which has given him a P18 at the moment. So we're back with Timo Glock. Gary Paffett makes his way out strategically. Will try and be out where he's got some clear track ahead of him. Marco Wittmann goes through. Paffett will join the track then with 2.5 minutes. It'll mean that he can get 2 hot laps in, potentially. In fact, it will be just 1 hot lap. This is Marco Wittmann, who's currently P6, a 1:39.95. He passes Paul de Resta. Wittmann lights up the Ice Watch BMW. Wittmann, of course, succeeding in taking the championship as the car really skids through that bend. Took the championship at the Lausitzring round last time out for the DTM cars. And there you can see the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen, those that are underneath the red out indicator. Müller, Mortara, Timo Scheider, Hand, Spengler, Tomczyk, Martin, Vitoris, Tombe, Paffett. Unless they can improve in the next 1.5 minutes. Nico Müller currently just in there, as you can see, P9, so we'll be hoping, having done a personal best Sector 1, a better than anyone Sector 2. Bear in mind, he was right at the top of the timing screens in FP. And Müller does. He posts a 1:34.94, which sends him to the very top. So Nico Müller then is right at the top of the timing screen, a 1:34.94 for Nico Müller. Here comes Eduardo Mortara, done a personal best Sector 1 and Sector 2. Is that going to be enough from his 1:31.077, which is the time that gave him P10, which is where he's at currently, as he exits the Ari Luendijk turn and heads towards the timing line. Edo Mortara now goes to the top, a 1:34.64. Adrien Tombe then, P17 until this lap. Personal best Sector 1, personal best Sector 2. Is that going to be enough to put him into the top 8 to go through to Q3? Around the final turn, and he heads towards the timing line. Adrien Tombe goes P9 just under the line. Now he can get another lap in. Here comes Gary Paffett. This will be the last chance for Gary Paffett. The stalwart Mercedes DTM star that is Gary Paffett. PB Sector 1 and Sector 2. 1:31.814 was the time that gave him P18. Keeps it all together. of the most experienced DTM racers out there. Gary Paffett heads now towards the timing line. And it's not enough, P11, but Pascal Wehrlein now posts a 1:34.49, which sends him right to the top and spoils Audi's party in Q2. Wehrlein green, Mortara Muller. Here's Miguel Molina. And there is Timo Scheider. Scheider into the pit lane. Molina stays out. What does Molina do? Well, no better, sadly, so it'll be Molina. No more in this qualifying session. So Pascal Wehrlein, he's 1:34.49. Of course, brimming with confidence, Pascal Wehrlein at the moment, just being announced as the reserve Mercedes F1 driver, and also, of course, taking that victory, his maiden DTM victory at the Lausitz Ring. Pascal Wehrlein, a 1:34.49 for Pascal Wehrlein. So the Guix Mercedes serving him well here. So now it's going to be down to the final 8 to go through to Q3. That will be Pascal Wehrlein, Jamie Green, Eduardo Mortara, Nico Müller, Martin Tomczyk, Mike Rockenfeller, Matthias Ekström, and Marco Wittmann. They will be going through. Out, Joey Hand, Miguel Molina, Gary Paffett, Adrien Tombe, Paul de Resta, Timo Glock, Bruno Spengler, Timo Scheider, Maxime Martin, and Christian Vitores. And there you can see that confirmation on screen. But right at the end of the session, Pascal Wehrlein banging in a lap, which sent him right to the top. And those going out, big names going out. And some disappointment in the garages, says Timo Glock. As the Audi there is being pushed back into the garage. Molina taking no further part in qualifying, sadly. And, well, by the skin of his teeth, it has to be said, the champion with a 1:38.32 finished P8. Mega Marco, DTM champion 2014. Well, he does go through to the next part of qualifying, but as I say, by the skin of his teeth. Their confirmation of those that are out then from session 2. Joey Hand, Miguel Molina, Gary Paffett, Adrien Tombe, Paul de Resta, Timo Glock, Bruno Spengler, Timo Scheider, Maxime Martin, and Christian Vitores. Brilliant heli shot. And here comes some slow-mos of those that we lose, including this Mercedes driver, Christian Vitores. He is out. And bear in mind, going into this, he is P2 in the points. 3 points ahead of Matthias Ekström. Maxime Martin, another driver. Victorious, of course, earlier in the season at the Moscow Raceway. And Timo Scheider is probably very disappointed, and he's with Verena now.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, big names out, as you said already. 4 DTM champs out and one former Formula One driver, and now Timo Scheider is here. Timo, what makes this circuit so difficult, and why is it so? Why did you only manage P16? What do you think? Do you know?
Good question. It was always a track which suited me quite well in the past, so I had never ever a big job to be fast here in Zandvoort. So today it is a big surprise for us that we are performing not that well. So we struggled already in the free practice sessions in both of them. And right now we just improved a bit the car, but in general we are by far too far off the pace.
Your team colleague Rocky made it into the next session, but all in all, I mean, it is frustrating, isn't it?
Yes, of course. So we had big targets, and it will be difficult tomorrow to fight back from these positions. Yeah.
And in regards to overtaking, it's difficult here in Zandvoort, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Right now we have the DRS possibility this season, or this year right here in Zandvoort, which we hadn't last year. I hope this will help tomorrow, but it will be tough anyway.
Best of luck, Timo. Thank you, and back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. It's always refreshing because you get so much the truth from Timo Scheider. P12 down in the points chart, and as Verena quite rightly said, so many big names going out in Q2, including this man, Gary Paffett. And, well, he showed brilliantly in the last part of qualifying. Thought we might get better in Q2. Paul de Resta, he'll explain more, I'm sure, with Verena now.
Yeah, it was looking really good for you, Paul. In the beginning, how come you couldn't push any further?
We had a very good car, very strong certainly in session 1. I made a little mistake on the first run in Q2. Lost about a tenth and a half, which maybe would have been enough to go through anyway. But on the last lap, I just had a bit of traffic on the outlap, didn't get the tyre temperature, and I had to abort the lap because we weren't quick enough. But it's unfortunate, I think, where we are. Things obviously keep going wrong, but at the same point, we have a very strong car to do something with tomorrow, and the belief in the team, I think we can make something work.
All right, thank you so much, Paul. And I see Bruno over there. I need to just scream over. Hi, Bruno. Disappointing qualifying for you. Where can you go from there for tomorrow?
Well, I don't know. It's tough. Here overtaking is very hard, so I have to hope for a bit of luck tomorrow during the race. We are definitely not happy with the performance of today. Again, we struggled to find a balance in the car. Like until now, most season more or less, so definitely disappointing. We have to carry on digging, carry on searching why the car isn't there where it should be at the moment, because the M4 has definitely potential, but at the moment we're not able to find the right setup for it, so that's our problem. But, I'll push hard tomorrow and try to come from the back and score as many points as I can.
And your team colleague Martin Tomczyk made it into the next session. Maybe you can get some answers from him and his team?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to compare because he's used all his set of tires, so he used more and his strategy was a bit different, trying to get through, but now he has no more new tires, so it's going to be tough for him, the Q3, unfortunately. So, I wish the best for him, of course, in Q3, but I think it's going to be tough because he's the only one that has no more sets of new tires, so it's going to be hard work.
Thank you so much, Bruno. And back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Very good point that Bruno makes there. It is a compromise. What do? Do you blitz all your tyres in qualifying to go further up the order? Do you conserve the tyres that will give you some more rubber in the race? Don't know what the answer is, to be honest. Gary Paffett and Timo Glock together with Verena now.
Yes, and let's start with you, Gary, starting in P11. That is disappointing. You were pushing so hard, and I think last minutes you were in P18, and then you managed P11, but you didn't make it into the next session. How come?
Yeah, I mean, this morning we struggled a lot with the car. We were having a lot of problems with the car, but in qualifying the car was much improved, but it was a different car to this morning, so we're getting used to the car while trying to push hard. And as you say, the last run in Q2 was a lot better, but I made a couple of small mistakes, and the gaps are so close. I mean, 1/10 quicker and I'd have been P8 or 7 and through to Q3. So it's tough, but after this morning, I'm quite pleased with that. So.
And Timo, what about you? What were you struggling with in the qualifying? How was it?
Well, it's difficult to say. I mean, we had the speed in free practice, and we just couldn't improve enough for quali. I mean, the car was okay. I didn't have any big problems with it, but I was surprised about the others that they were so much quicker. So unfortunately, we were just not quick enough at the end.
Thank you so much, and back to you.
Thank you, Verena. So Gary Paffett then and Timo Glock, two big names out and not into the final part of qualifying, which is underway. With the top 8 drivers out there on track, they'll be fighting it out for the front 4 rows of the grid. Preparations going on then for the Matthias Ekstrom car, as you can see in the garage. Ekstrom, who delivered a fantastic onboard lap for us right at the start of the program. We'll hope that he can deliver an absolutely fantastic lap to put him as far up the grid as possible for the race tomorrow here at Zandvoort. We're on board with the victor from Lausitzring. Or we were, Pascal Wehrlein, who, as I mentioned earlier, comes here brimming with confidence. Chatting with him earlier in the week. Real cool dude, has to be said, and very happy with the way he's performing at the moment. particularly with a car which has undoubtedly underperformed in some parts of the season. Of course, the weather played into the hands of Mercedes a little bit. Well, a lot at the Lausitzring, and Pascal was absolutely able to extract the very, very max, both in qualifying and in the race itself last time round at Lausitzring, and it'll be interesting to see what he can deliver here at Zandvoort. Completely different circuit, and we hope completely different weather conditions as well. So the first flying lap is going to come from Pascal Wehrlein, and that will give us the benchmark for the remaining 8 and a bit minutes of the final part of qualifying to set the grid for tomorrow's DTM race from the sand dunes in Zandvoort. So as he heads towards the line which indicates the finish of Sector 1, 40.371 in Sector 1 for Pascal Wehrlein in the Guix liveried Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes, who have had a season-long battle to try and extract the best out of what was at the beginning of the season a very, very underperforming car. Sector 2 line done with a 23.9. And the time goes so quickly during qualifying. Already we're down to just 7 minutes remaining, as Wehrlein now heads towards the exit of the final turn here at the Zandvoort circuit. And he posts a 1:31.9. 1:31.9 gives us the first completed lap time, and that comes from the victor from last time out, Pascal Wehrlein. So, as we were hearing earlier from Bruno Spengler, what do you do in qualifying? Do you compromise your tyres? Do you use them all? Do you have no decision? Of course. Here's Matthias Ekstrom then, with blistering times in comparison to Pascal Wehrlein's in Sector 1 and Sector 2. And this is going to be enough to take him right to the top, a 1:38.69. That is a huge margin of difference between Matthias Ekstrom and Pascal Wehrlein. Just wonder whether Matthias can even improve on that, seeing him replay there, where didn't quite keep it as on the tarmac as he would like. Eduardo Mortara now 39.8 Sector 1, 23.5 Sector 2, and heads up towards the timing line now. The 1:38.69 is the Ekstrom time, which is blitzed now by Eduardo Mortara with a 1:37.57. And this, the champion, Marco Wittmann then, quicker than anyone in Sector 1 and Sector 2 thus far, with 5 minutes left to run. Marco Wittmann, the Mortara time, 1:37.57 there on the graphics. But Wittmann beats that by, well, just under 2 100ths. Now Tomczyk, who has of course used tyres, as Bruno Spengler was indicating, and now you can see it's PB Sector 1 and PB Sector 2. Well, he's extracted enough to give him a 1:31.904, which is P4. And Pascal Wehrlein in there. Didn't look like new tyres were going on to Pascal's car. Seemed to take off what was on and put it back on again. So we will see. But Wittmann, a 1:37.39, Mortara 1:37.57, Ekstrom 1:38.69, and Tomczyk 1:31.904. At the moment, well, continuing in Zandvoort as he has for much of the season with incredible dominance, Marco Wittmann with a 1:37.39. Here, though, the champion of last year, Mike Rockenfeller. And bear in mind that Mike Rockenfeller is one heck of a driver. A 40.0 in Sector 1, And he's, well, 10th and a bit down, as you can see. 23.4, sector 2. So this is the first time in this part of qualifying that we will see from Mike Rockenfeller. Let's see whether he can propel Audi to the sharp end of the grid. Well, he does that with a 1:37.13. Put it all together in sector 2 and sector 3, as you can see, quicker than anyone in those final 2 sectors of the lap, and that enough to put him up to P1 on the timing screen, a 1:37.13 for Mike Rockenfeller. Marco Wittmann then P2, Eduardo Mortara P3, then Ekstrom P4. Here is Nico Müller. Now, Nico Müller has performed well throughout free practice and qualifying by dint of the fact he's through to the final part of qualifying. This is going to be the first time that we see from Nico Müller on screen. He'd posted a 1:32.408 earlier, but this, you get the impression, is going to be a proper one from Nico Müller with just over 2 minutes left to run in this final part of qualifying. So Rocky's sector time is at the on the graphic at the bottom of your screen. Müller beats that. Tucks in, kisses the apex, out. Runs just a bit wide. Sector 2 for Nico Müller is a 23.4. He's now marginally, and it is marginally, 2/100ths slower than Mike Rockenfeller. If he can absolutely tick every box in the final sector and make no mistakes, is it just possible that Nico Müller can wrestle pole position away from Mike Rockenfeller as he heads towards the timing line now? No, P5, a 27.5 in the final sector, so it's also very, very close across the 8 here in the final part of qualifying. It's down to 100ths, 1,000ths. Jamie Green now at the bottom at the moment, and we've seen great performance from Jamie Green thus far this weekend. Doesn't want to be starting from P8 on the grid tomorrow, wants to be further up the order than that. And Jamie Green wrestling absolutely everything he can out of the Audi then. A better than anyone sector 1, a PB sector 2, and a PB sector 3 gives him P5, which is an improvement, but he can get one more lap because we have 30 seconds remaining in this session. The session that Mike Rockenfeller, the outgoing champion, leads as Wolfgang Ullrich looks on from the pit perch. It's Rockenfeller, Wittmann, and Rocky's car is parked up. He is currently 1:37.13. Decided to take the car back into the pit lane and park it up, convinced that he's done enough, and probably right to do so, but Nico Müller on a lap. And we know Jamie Green on a lap as well. Nico Müller heads towards the timing line. The checkered flag is out. And Müller finishes P6. Wittmann has put the car in the garage. The DTM champion 2014. A 1:37.39 from Marco Wittmann gives him P2. The only one I think still to cross the line is Jamie Green. Can he improve on the 1:39.57 that gave him P5? He heads towards the timing line. This is Jamie Green from P5. Doesn't improve. So there it is. Rockenfeller, Wittmann, Mortara, Ekstrom, Green, Müller, Wehrlein, and Tomczyk. The order after the final part of qualifying here at Zandvoort. So delight on the Audi pit perch. There indeed is Mike Rockenfeller. Just see Daniel Schuster there behind him. And here we can see the Schaeffler Audi that delivered that time with him at the wheel. Crosses the line, and it's pole position for Mike Rockenfeller. Congratulated by former Mercedes boss, of course, there, Norbert Haug, DTM expert. DTM champion 2014. He won it last time out at the Lausitz-Ring. He's with Verena now and is qualifying P2. Wonder what he's got to say about that.
Yep, I'm here with a current DTM champ. That does sound good. Marco, P2. You were pushing really, really hard. Another pole would have been nice, obviously, but P2, you can work with that, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, a pole would be nice, but actually, Mike did a good job. I had a slight mistake in the last corner, which a little bit annoys me, but at the end, I think we can be really happy with P2. I mean, especially if you consider the weight what we have in the car, I think the performance was pretty good, and especially after free practice we struggled a bit, but yeah, performance in qualifying was quite good now.
But between you and me, you've got the title in your pocket. How eager are you still to win the next two races? I mean, you've already got the title.
Well, for me the motivation is so high. Still 2 races left, and of course I would like to finish the season on a high with both races, and that means to be on the podium or even on the top of the podium. So yeah, so the passion is there, and of course I try my best, and there is still the team and manufacturer title open, and for that we are pushing.
Thank you so much, and best of luck for the race tomorrow. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. So the motivation's still high then for Marco Wittmann, despite the fact he's the champion. Of course, the teams and the constructors' title still important for him. So here we have the combined result then. Mike Rockenfeller, Marco Wittmann, P1, P2. Then it's Mortara and Ekstrom, P3, P4. Green and Muller, P5 and P6. Then Wehrlein, Tomczyk, Hand, Molina, Paffett and Tombe. The first 6 rows of the grid. To the next page, and then we see Paul de Resta, Timo Glock, Bruno Spengler, Timo Scheider, Maxime Martin. Let's hear now from the 2013 champion, of course, and that's Mike Rockenfeller.
Yes, indeed. It's quite funny because this year's champ is in P2 and last year's champ is in pole position. Congratulations, a fantastic qualifying for you. So now you're going to win the race tomorrow. Is it that easy?
Well, yeah, it sounds that easy. I mean, that's our goal for sure. We have the top spot. But it's a long race. We all know things can go wrong, but I try my best. You know, I'm on the best position. I try to have a clean start, good start, and then control the race. That's the aim.
And that would be the first win for Audi this season. So I guess it's pretty important to win here tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's always important to win, and it would be nice. But again, first, you know, it's a long race ahead, and first you need to do a good start, strategy, and you know, right tire choice and all that stuff. But yeah, of course, you know, we are really hungry for that victory, but so is, I think, Marco Wittmann to win this race. So are all the others, and that's why it's difficult.
Thank you so much, Rocky. Back to you.